Okay guys, so today we're going to do a comparison of 4 different sub shops and 4 different meat, beef, roast beef, or Philly style steak subs. So the first stop on our list is going to be Subway. And Subway is unique in that it's probably the most common of the 4 that you're going to be familiar with, depending on where you're at. And then also, they're the only place you can get a sub at 9 o'clock in the morning of the 4 on my list. So I'm going to go in and order the closest thing they have to a Philly cheesesteak that I can get. On all 4 of these comparisons, I'm going for the roast beef, Philly cheesesteak type sub. And so this Subway sub is going to be their beef sub. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so that was informative. And I asked a few questions of the girl that was making the sub, and I asked her first about the meat, and I said, do you cook the meat yourself, or what do you do? And she goes, no, it comes in a package for us and we heat it up. Okay, so when you go and you get let's see what they call this, a steak and cheese sub. The steak at a Subway is preheated and packaged, or cooked and packaged, and then preheated before they make it with your sub. It was in a tray. I don't know that it was preheated. And then I did ask to have it toasted. And they stick it in. I asked her about her oven. It's a toaster oven. And according to her, and they do have a microwave, but they don't microwave it to heat it. And with this, they stick it in the toaster oven. So I'm on my way now. My next stop will be at Jersey Mike's, and I'll see you guys there. Okay guys, so I'm coming up to my second place in my sub showdown, and this sub is going to come from Jersey Mike's. So I'm looking forward to that. They're not open yet. They're supposed to open at 10:30. So I'll be back with you guys in a little while. Okay guys, so I picked up my Jersey Mike's sub, and for the record, it is a Philly cheesesteak according to them. And one thing I like about this place right off, number 1, the people are so friendly. Number 2, you actually watch them cook your steak, and they have cold cuts in the freezer or chiller, so if you're getting a cold sandwich, you actually watch them slice it. And just for the record, the guy says that this sub is 7 to 7.5 inches long, and the giant is 14.5 to 15 inches long. It says it depends on how they stretch the dough, so they make their own bread. And I guess Subway makes their own bread too. So, but I'm going to measure these later on. Okay folks, so now we're coming up to our third place in the sub sandwich showdown, and this will be Jimmy John's. So we're going to go in here to Jimmy John's and get the closest thing to a Philly cheesesteak we can find, and according to them, some free smells. That ought to be good. Okay guys, I just stopped at Jimmy John's and picked up a number 10 Hunter's Club, and they say it's a full 1/4 of a pound of medium rare roast beef, provolone lettuce, tomatoes, and mayo. So it's not They don't have any hot subs in there, and it's not by any means a Philly cheesesteak. The only thing that I can compare it to probably will be the Subway that's heated in a toaster oven. So I watched him with the meat, and the meat's kind of looks like some kind of a sliced deli roast beef. Okay guys, I'm fixing to get the last of the subs on the sub showdown, and this one's going to be a Firehouse sub, the closest thing they have to a Philly cheesesteak. So I'll be back shortly. Okay guys, I just picked up my final sub of the sub showdown. I picked it up at Firehouse Subs. So now I'm off to my house to compare these and tell you what I think, give you a good honest opinion. Okay guys, so we got our subs home from our sub challenge, and we got 4 different popular sub places around here in Houston that people would know. And so what I wanted to do was compare as close as I could to a Philly cheesesteak sub what they offer. And so without further ado, here we have the Subway. That's a steak and cheese sub, and Subway says their meat is packaged and then they reheat it and they put the sub on the toaster oven. And tax, title, and license out the door, $5.29, and that Subway claims that that's going to be a 6-inch sub. Here we have Jersey Mike's, and this is their Philly cheesesteak sub, and they claim it's 7 to 7.5 inches, and theirs is $9.29. Now, here's something about Jersey Mike's. This is not a restaurant, folks. You walk up and you give them the order, and when you pay for it, you hand them. You swipe your card, and their little credit card machine comes up and says, well, the cashier says it's going to ask you a question before you pay. And the question is, do you want to leave a tip? Now, I don't mind leaving a tip to someone who's served me the food. But in their case and their defense, this is the only place that actually prepared the meat in front of me while I was watching. Jersey Mike's actually cooks up steak for their Philly cheesesteak on a grill. So, it just depends on how you are about tipping. I press the 10%. So, in all actuality, the Jersey Mike's sub should have been $8.50. If I hadn't since I tipped, it was $9.29. Now here's Jimmy John's, and Jimmy John's calls this their Hunter's Club, and out the door the Hunter's Club is $6.77, and I didn't measure it. It's also, I didn't ask him, how big it was. But so going out the door, it was $6.77, and this is what they call 1/4 of a pound of medium rare roast beef. So it's not heated, and it's not put on any kind of a toaster oven or grill. And then this one here is the Firehouse subs, and this is their small. What they call their small steak sub, and out the door it was $4.43. And look at the love. They put it in a kind of a hard box, which is pretty cool. So, $5.29 Subway, $8.50 Jersey Mike's, $6.77 Jimmy John's, and $4.43 Firehouse subs. So, now it's time for the all-important part, the taste test. And here's the thing about taste tests, folks. They're subjective, and they're all subject to opinion. And something else some of you guys ought to know. I'm a Texas guy in Texas, giving you a taste test on Philly cheesesteaks, or as close as I can get to it. So keep that in mind. But I'm just going to tell you what I think of how they taste. So let's get this out onto a tray, shall we? Here we have the Firehouse Subs small steak and cheese sandwich. And when I say small, it measures approximately, I'd say 4 1/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is sample this and leave a little bit in case I have to go back and compare for a final comparison. So here's my first bite. Okay, I taste the meat. It's not a bunch of meat, but I do taste it. What kind of comes out at me is the pepper. It's not a lot of heat, but it adds just the right amount of flavor to the meat. And I don't taste the onion at all. So now let's try the Jimmy John's sub. Folks, I think that's a pretty good sandwich for $6.77. And it measures just under 9 inches. So there's what you have, what they call rare roast beef. And this doesn't have any peppers on it, and I had them just to prepare it the way their menu says to. So this has mayonnaise, lettuce, cheese, and roast beef. Well, in my opinion, not much flavor at all to the meat. The mayonnaise comes through a little bit, and I didn't taste the cheese at all. And the one thing that really jumps out at me is that there's a lot of difference between a cold sub sandwich and one that's been cooked or heated. And even though the price is right on this sub, so far it would be my least favorite of the four. Now let's go to the Jersey Mike sub. And again, this is their small. And let's see. I paid $8.50 for this sub. And they cooked it in front of me while I watched. They said it would be 7 to 7.5 inches. And they're right on the money. I'm coming up with just a hair over 7 inches. Another thing that I'm noticing is the bread, in my opinion, it has a nice soft texture. The cheese is just melted into the meat really well. The flavor is there. I can taste all the elements of this sandwich. I can taste the meat. I can taste the cheese. I can taste the pepper. Not quite so much the tomato, but I'm not even sure why they put that on there. But that that is just downright tasty, and just a pleasure to eat. The bread is really got a nice soft texture compared to the first two. And now let's go to everybody's favorite, the Subway steak and cheese. And I gotta say, I had it on Italian bread because after all, I'm going for a Philly cheesesteak, but wouldn't have been my first choice of bread otherwise. And this bread also has a nice soft texture, just like the Jersey Mike's. And when you measure this up, Subway says 6 inches. I'm getting 6.5 inches measured on mine. So maybe I got the luck of the draw. And the Subway sub out the door is $5.29. So let's take our sampling. You know, I'm getting all the flavors, the meat, and of course I had the option of putting a jalapeno on this one, so that's what I did. And I gotta say, I like the heat coming through in this sandwich, and I think that's a good thing, being from Texas. Instead of just a regular pepper, having a jalapeno pepper. So also the price. The price is good. It's the second lowest price of the four. Just a little more than the Firehouse subs, but also the Firehouse sub is just a little bit smaller, and it's at $4.77. So let me take one final taste of all four and tell you which ones I prefer the most and the least. So the first one is the Firehouse sub. Doesn't disappoint at all. And it's a good eating sub. And you're going to like that they support first responders, or at least I do. And so that adds, for me, a little bit extra. And I really like the Firehouse sub. Jimmy John's. You know, I think the thing you're going to like the most about the Jimmy John's is the price and the size. For $6.77, let me double check that. For $6.77, that's a lot of sandwich, and if you're hungry and you're on a thin dime, that might be the way to go. But it's my least favorite of the four, because when you do that combination of a Philly cheesesteak, it's got to be heated up, and I didn't see any offerings that were heated at Jimmy John's. So to me, that would be a sub that I would cross off my list. And now for the Jersey Mike's, folks, I got to tell you, that's my favorite. Jersey Mike's will be my go-to sub shop from now on, because that Philly cheesesteak, it's just got everything. It's got flavor. They cook it while I'm watching. The cheese is melted into the meat, just, you know, on the grill. And the bread is just really soft and easy to chew into. And I just really like the Jersey Mike's sub best of the four. And now for a final taste of the Subway. Ooh. And I gotta tell you, I love the bite of that jalapeno, and especially with the steak and the cheese. And you just don't get that selection with the other three. Kind of surprises me, folks, but Subway is my second choice. The sandwich was probably it was a little bit bigger than the Firehouse small, but it was the small. Otherwise, it was small of the other three. And out the door, tax, title, and license, $5.29. So, I guess the moral of the story there is, you know, sometimes the brand has a reason that they're dominant, and Subway's probably dominant. So my first choice is Jersey Mike's. My second choice is Subway. My third choice, and this one kind of surprises me, is Firehouse Subs. And I can't think of one good reason not to go there, and I'll keep it on my list of places to go. But as far as how the sandwich tasted, my Subway steak sandwich with jalapeno beats out the steak sandwich from Firehouse Subs with just regular peppers. I like the heat. And my last choice, and sadly won't probably be somewhere where I'll go, will be Jimmy John's. And it's all a matter of taste, folks. So that's the results of what I came up with. And I hope you enjoyed the comparison. I hope it's helpful to you someday when you're thinking of what kind of sub do you want to buy, because you got all these choices, and sometimes, like, I've been going into Subways all my life, and so lately I'm saying, hey, I want to try some of these other guys, and I'm glad I did. And so maybe this will help you, change your pattern a little bit. And please consider subscribing to my channel. If you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, well, you know what to do. And anyway, it's all just for fun, folks, and I have a fun time doing it, and I hope you have a fun time watching. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. This is Just Eat It, signing off.